Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I'm going to be recommending you some queer romantasies. So these are all books that are LGBTQIA in different ways, and I'm really excited to bring this to you, especially given today's climate. It is, I think, a really important time to be raising up the voices of LGBTQIA+, to be sharing the authors, to be sharing the stories. This is just a really important time for us right now, and it's one of the things that we can do. Reading, as we know, is political, and it is definitely a time to be reading and raising up those voices. So here we are today. Let's talk about some queer romantasy books. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do so. Don't forget to click the like button and comment down below. We need more queer recs, so give me all of your queer recs. Give them all to everyone else who's looking at the comments. Let's create a discussion about all of the different queer authors and queer stories that we can be reading. So I myself am bi, so you will notice half of these recommendations are Sapphic. The other ones are Polyamorous or MM. If you guys have any trans recs specifically that are in the fantasy romance, monster romance, or paranormal romance kind of subgenres, please let me know because I would love some of those recommendations. So getting into it, the first book I'm going to recommend, the first two books I'm going to recommend are polyromances, and the first one is Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Mass. So this is definitely why choose, or you can say polyamorous. There's at least one MM relationship in here that is very significant, and you can definitely consider the group as a whole to be poly. So this is like a shifter story, and it's definitely like more of a dark bully romance type story. Our heroine finds out that she is an alpha shifter. She has been abused for most of her life, and she ends up finding out, once she finds out that she's an alpha shifter, she gets taken to the war front where the shifters are fighting a war with the Fae. She meets these other three alphas, and they do not really like her from the get because they think she's tiny, she's scrawny, there's no way she could possibly be an alpha, and so they really are hard on her, and the story goes from there. It is so freaking good. I love it. I love the banter. I love the humor. I love the found family aspects. I love so much about the series. I read the whole first trilogy in the 2-trilogy 6-book series. I really want to continue on very soon. I think I will be continuing on with that pretty soon here. But I highly recommend. I want more people to read this. I know people have been talking about her Blood of Hercules series, which is traditionally published. I think I've heard some potential hints that it might be interconnected with Psycho Shifters, so I really want to read that one, but I'd like to finish this Psycho Shifter universe like first, or this first 6 books first. But I know a lot of people are reading that one, but don't forget she does actually have a backlist, and this is like a 6-book series, and it's really, really good. So next I have another poly story, and this is Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen. So this is a Why Choose romance, but when we actually start, like the first book specifically is really getting to know the MM relationship or relationships that are going on in this story. You have our heroine who finds a portal to the Fae realm when she's looking for her father. This is like a Beauty and the Beast retelling or reimagining, and instead she finds these Fae, well, she finds her father, but she also finds these Fae princes that live at this castle. Each prince is connected to a seasonal realm, like the Spring Kingdom, the Winter Kingdom, the Fall Kingdom, the Summer Kingdom, and there's also the Prince of Thorns. So she meets them, and obviously a relationship and adventure and political intrigue and all sorts of other stuff ensue, and it's really, really good. I highly recommend. I've read the first 2 books. I was buddy reading them with April from Happily Ever April, and I had a really good time doing that. I think we're going to try to continue on potentially in March to read the 3rd book in that series. So let's get into some Sapphic books. So the first one I have here is The Orc and Her Bride by Lilla Gwen. This is about an orc who is a princess and really takes her job seriously. As the princess of this kingdom, she really cares about her people. She's very dutiful. She has a sister who is now the queen of the queendom, I guess I should say. She rules the queendom. She rules the queendom, and they want to create this alliance with the elves. So she ends up having to be married off to a princess, the princess of the elf kingdom, and the elf princess is very selfish. She is very self-centered. She is very spoiled. Like, she's honestly really not likable for the first 60% of the book, to be honest. And the orc is having to kind of like put up with her and is doing everything she can to make her feel comfortable in the new kingdom. and it's just not working. So they definitely don't get along for the first good bit, but they end up obviously falling for each other. Like I said, it's Sapphic and it's kind of monster fantasy romance feeling, and I had a good time with this one. The only downfall is, like I said, the amount of unlikable that the elf princess is. Like, she is so unlikable, but it's still a really good time. I had a great time. I highly recommend it if you like monster romance or fantasy romance, or even cozy fantasy, because it's pretty cozy too, but it does have spice in it. So, but then you're looking for like a Sapphic read. That one was a lot of fun. Next, I have a book by Darva Green. She has at least a few Sapphic romantasy or monster romance books out. I know I really want to check out her vampire one that she has out now, but that one is a little bit longer. So this one is actually like a novella, or it's like a very short novella, maybe like a novelette you could call it, but this is called She Came from the Swamp, and like I said, this is by Darva Green, and this is a monster romance. Our heroine's family, like the main character, her family's kind of like in this supernatural mafia cult kind of unalivers, and they tend to feed those they've unalived to the swamp monster, the Kikimora. So they tend to, like, I think, like, feed, like, those they've unalived to the Kikimora. She's had a really bad breakup, so she's, like, run back to this swampy cabin to kind of just get away from her heartbreak, and she does so, but then she ends up striking up a relationship, a weird relationship with this Kikimora, and it's a monster romance, and like I said, a novelette. It's fairly spicy, and it was a really good time. Like, I really like this. Next, I have a book that I have not read yet, but I'm obsessed with the cover, and it sounds really good. This is called The Librarian's Gargoyle by Evelyn Shine. I do really like gargoyle romances, so I think this could be right up my alley if you're mixing gargoyle with Sapphic. The ratings are actually really high on this one too. For this one, our heroine's name is Viola, and she works in this library in Paris, and she is trying to basically keep herself hidden and safe from these magical shades that are like attacking her. And she tends to kind of like talk about all of her issues with this gargoyle, but the gargoyle never answers back, like a stone gargoyle. The other heroine in the story, I'm assuming that she becomes not stone, I'm guessing, and they have a romance, but this sounds really good. I love a librarian too, and if it's set in Paris, like, yes please. Also, like I said, if you look at this cover, it's so stunning. Like, I'm obsessed with the cover. Another Sapphic one is like a short little Sapphic vampire novella that I've heard good things about. It's called Just My Type. It's by Lucy Bexley and Bryce Oakley. Like I said, a vampire novelette, and this is Sapphic. The cover is gorgeous. It looks like we have a vampire who's over 2,000 years old, and then we have a doctor who is researching a rare blood disease, and the vampire goes to try to feed off of the doctor, but then I think she realizes that she doesn't want to attack her because she is like very intrigued by her and attracted to her, and they have obviously a little bit of a romance. This is a novelette as well. I think less than 100. Yeah, it's just over 100 pages. It says 136 pages, so it's gonna be short. This one has actually been on my radar for like a hot minute, so I do need to get to it. Next book I have is Hollow by Sam Nascosta. Now, there are 2 stories in this book, and it is the first one that is MMM, and it's really just a short erotic story, but I'm still including it because I actually thought it was both hilarious and just awesome. It's very short, Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow type retelling. You can imagine what 3 men who can take off their heads might get up to, and I'm not going to talk more about that one, but if you're, you know, maybe it is a spooky time of year, or you're in the spooky mood and you want to read something that is a little bit more spooky but at the same time super hot and short, and it's MMM, this might be a good one for you. And then maybe you can continue on and read the second book that is more of a full-length book in that bind up, and that is another Sleepy Hollow retelling. That one is more MF, I would say. Next, I've got Silver in the Wood. This is MM, and this is a kind of cozy-ish cottagecore fantasy book, and it is a romance. It is not spicy. It is just very sweet. And this is about this forest entity, almost like a god or a being of the forest. He's used to kind of living by himself with like his cat and some druids. And then A stranger shows up one day and they start to get to know each other, and then old wounds and old things come up, and then there ends up also being a threat to him, and it's kind of got a lot going on for a novella, but it's very good. And like I said, it does have a very sweet romance to it as well. And it definitely, if you're looking for something that's very botanical, cottagecore, woodland, ethereal, those kind of vibes, I would definitely recommend that one too. Next is a book that I have not read. I started it, but I think I was reading too many books at the time, but I do really want to read this. This is Can't Spell Treason Without T by Rebecca Thorne, and it is a sapphic, cozy fantasy, cozy romantasy. And when it starts, actually, the two are already together, I believe, but they have to escape this very vicious queen, and so they are basically obviously committing treason doing so. They are on the run and they run away, and they end up opening a tea shop slash bookstore, and I think it's supposed to be cozy, and they're supposed to be a found family, and it's supposed to have some Legends and Lattes vibes, but with higher stakes than Legends and Lattes, which sounds like something I could be really interested in. I love the idea of two women running away from a vicious tyrant together and doing something to better themselves and to have a happy life together. Especially right now, I love that. So that one's definitely high on my TBR. One that I have read is really good. This is an MM, and this is Curses and Cocktails by S.L. Rowland. This is one of my favorite cozy fantasies slash cozy romantasies of all time. I'm obsessed with this book. This is, I would say, better than Legends and Lattes, in my opinion. I loved it so much. Our hero is like a warlock, and he has been injured, and so he goes south where he thinks he'll be in less pain from his chronic pain, and he has this book of recipes for cocktails from his father, and his father has like basically collected these recipes from his travels around the world, and so it's the only thing really he has left of his father, and so he really wants to basically explore the world through his father's eyes by recreating these cocktails. He ends up meeting this bartender, and the two of them decide to open up a pub together and recreate these cocktails, and the two of them fall in love. It is so sweet. There's found family, there's really cute animal companions as well, and the town is super awesome. Like, I adored this book so much. I just love especially like how they communicated, and I loved the experiences that he had like through the cocktails. I really liked also just the discussion of like making the cocktails. Like, something about it was very like comforting to me, and it was also just intriguing and like just fun to read about. I don't know, the pub that ended up opening felt so cozy. It was also supposed to be like haunted, so sometimes like a haunted pub, that sounds even cozier to me. I don't know why, but it's cozy. And I really love this one. If you haven't read it, please pick it up. Those are my queer romantasy recommendations for today. If you want more from me, I can do another video. I can also do a TBR video, but I'd also like your recommendations, because I'm definitely looking for more queer romantasy, monster romance, alien romance, or romantasy fantasy romance. Anything in that kind of subgenre, definitely please drop your recommendations down below in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, my Instagram, my Patreon, my TikTok, my everything. It's all down below, including my Discord too, the Hideaway. So until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life. Smile until I look away, but I've known you too long, it hurts to